Hello everyone and welcome to our Postgraduate Online Open Day. My name's Craig. I'm part of the team here at the School of Social and Environmental Sustainability at the University of Glasgow, based at our Dumfries campus. Today we're going to go through our environment subject area, and we're joined by our head of subject, Dr. Steven Gillespie, and one of our students from one of our programs here at the Dumfries campus. We'll get to them in just a moment, but to start with, I would like to take you through just a little bit of information about our campus and our school here at Dumfries campus. So first and foremost, we are the School of Social and Environmental Sustainability. We are based at the Dumfries campus, which is one of 3 campuses of the University of Glasgow, based approximately 75 miles south of Glasgow. We have sustainability at the heart of everything we do throughout our school and throughout our 4 subject areas, which we'll get to in just a moment. Staff and students still come to this campus from over 40 countries. We have around 400 students on campus, so it is a very different environment, and the environment that we have here is much more community focused, and we have smaller class sizes, and you are able to get to know students and staff from across the different disciplines on campus. We are surrounded by our living laboratory, which is our campus and our region of Dumfries and Galloway, and that provides an excellent environment for you to get out and experience our environment that surrounds our campus and get hands-on and practical with a lot of our different subject areas, which is at the heart of what we do with our teaching. The fundamental part of our campus is that it is a close-knit community, and we are wanting you to become part of that community with both our staff and students based here in Dumfries. So the campus is situated in the town of Dumfries, which has a population of around 40,000 people. We do have accommodation options here for you that are either close to the campus or close to the town centre, but don't worry, neither are too far apart. You're able to get into the town itself in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes walk, or we do have a bus service that runs between the campus and the town to allow you to transport between those locations. Within our campus itself, we have all the facilities that you would look for. We've got a brand new student hub that opened up this past year, which gives you an opportunity to engage with our student union, the Glasgow University Dumfries Union, as well as different students and different environments throughout the campus. We have a postgraduate hub, which is exclusive to our postgraduate taught and postgraduate research students. So you will find that in our second building, the Maxwell building, where you will find an array of teaching spaces as well as that hub itself. We have access to free gym facilities here on campus, which is located in one of our partner institution buildings, which is Dumfries and Galloway College, and we have sports facilities on campus as well. That's also where you'll find our library. And you have full access to our library both here in Dumfries and at our Gilmore Hill campus in Glasgow. So you get the best of both worlds. I mentioned the student union. That is where you will find a lot of social activities, and you will find different clubs and organisations that will help you throughout your student journey here in Dumfries. We do have excellent transport links across the UK. Dumfries allows for you to get to Glasgow in about an hour and a half, to Edinburgh in just under 2 hours, but you're also able to get down into England, where we can get to Manchester in about 2.5 hours, and we're under 4 hours on the train to London. So if you're flying into the UK, or indeed just moving around the UK while you're with us, you've got those options for you as transport links. So what do? We have 4 main subject areas across our school, and they start with our environment programs, which you're going to hear about today. We also have programs across sustainable development, education, and tourism. But as I mentioned, we are focusing today on environment, and I'm now going to ask my colleague, Dr. Steven Gillespie, who is our head of subject, to come on screen. And Steven is going to take you through some of our programs within the school focused on our environment area. Thanks, Steven. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Craig, and hello everybody. Delighted to be here to talk through 3 of our postgraduate programs today. One of the most important things to realise about our PGT programs is that we have a whole host of students here on campus with the sustainability focus, and it's not just postgraduate. So we have undergraduate program as well, 2 undergraduate programs. So you're part of a much wider community of students with a focus on sustainability, with a focus on the environment. So you're part of a much wider network of students from across the globe, all with a key interest in sustainability. So today I'm going to talk about these three key PGT programs, which you can see in the middle of this slide. So the MSc Environmental Risk Management, the MSc Ecology and Environmental Monitoring, and the MLitt in Environment, Culture and Communication. But before I go on to talk about these in a little bit more detail, just to highlight some of our core staff. Now, our core staff teaches across the all postgraduate programs, and each have their own specialisms. And I'll highlight a few of our colleagues for you today, but please have a look at the staff pages on the School of Social and Environmental Sustainability for more information. So if we look at the top left of the screen, we see Dr. John Shee. He's a hydrologist with research interests focused on climate extremes and water hazards. He does hydrological modelling and forecasting. And with over 80 publications, John has made a significant contribution to the understanding of hydrological risks and impacts across the world through his research. In the middle at the top, we see Professor Fabrice Renaud. He happens to be the head of school, but he's also a global expert in nature-based solutions and disaster risk reduction. With over 150 publications, Professor Renaud is recognised internationally for his research in many parts of the world, from Vietnam, China, Europe, and here in the UK. Dr. Natalie Weldon leads the Ecology and Environmental Monitoring Programme, and she's an expert in ecology and marine microplastic pollution. She's published widely and influences policy, and recently published a new book on the subject. Natalie's teaching is all about experiential learning by doing, and using the wonderful environment that surrounds our campus to try and develop student skills. Dr. David Borthwick leads the Environment, Culture and Communication Programme, and he's a leading authority in the development of eco-criticism. Communicating environmental issues effectively is fundamental as we try and transition towards a more sustainable future. And Dave's scholarship and research merges scientific and humanities-based approaches. Dr. Sarwar Hussain, who leads the Environmental Risk Management Programme, is internationally recognised for his research on social ecological systems, and his cutting-edge research demonstrates the interconnectedness of environmental challenges. Such whole system approaches are fundamental for effective policy development and understanding the impacts of a changing climate in the context of risk. Our other staff have expertise in a whole range of other disciplines and subdisciplines, such as ecological restoration, environmental policy, marine ecology, GIS, peatland restorations, environmental chemistry, and so on. They're all playing a key role in advancing the sustainability transition and tackling the United Nations Development Goals. Within the School of Social and Environmental Sustainability, you will be learning from experts who are engaging with a wide range of topics which have global impact. Let's talk a little bit about the different programs, starting with environmental risk management. The interdisciplinary environmental risk management program provides an in-depth understanding of how risks from natural hazards develop and affect societies globally. The program develops conceptual and analytical skills to assess and propose innovative solutions to an increasing number of natural hazards. The program is delivered through a mixture of approaches, including lectures, seminars, field classes, and of course, experiential learning in the field. You'll be studying in the south of Scotland, where the landscape offers opportunities for multiple field visits to study real case examples of risks linked to natural hazards. You'll have the opportunity to hear from guest lecturers from government and non-governmental organisations, from international agencies, and of course from academia. You'll develop subject-specific knowledge of environmental risk management with broad application from local to global levels. Some of the example careers are shown here in the box on the right. So these include employment within the Environment Agency, working with the Natural Environment Research Council, NERC, working at university facilities and non-governmental organisations or NGOs. And some of our students go on to develop an interest in academia and go on to do doctoral study as well. In a world facing biodiversity crisis driven by climate change and land management decisions, the Ecology and Environmental Monitoring Programme aims to develop a new generation of experts with the necessary skills to tackle current and future challenges. You'll develop vital skills in species identification, taxonomy and ecology, conservation science, and research methods. Our programme aligns with international commitments such as the Convention on Biological Diversity and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, reflecting the urgency of biodiversity conservation at national, regional, and at local levels worldwide. You will be immersed in hands-on fieldwork and lab exercises, taking advantage of our ideal Dumfries Campus location and access to a diversity of environments such as the uplands, the coastal environment, river and loch systems. On this programme, you will collaborate with experts from research, consultancy, conservation, and you'll hone your core competencies in taxonomy, identification, and environmental monitoring. Our hands-on approach to developing your career-focused field skills is complemented by research-led courses in ecological theory, plant and animal taxonomy, habitat monitoring, remote sensing, GIS, and much more. And some of the example careers for this particular programme include working for non-governmental organisations, for example, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, maybe fisheries trusts, plant life, and these can be at a national level or international. Ecological environmental consultancies and bodies such as the Scottish Environmental Protection Agency or the Environment Agency or any marine monitoring organisation. You could also be working in legislation, helping to develop policy, or you may go on to work as a researcher or a data manager. And if academia really holds your interest, there's the opportunities here on our campus for doctoral research as well. The Masters in Environment, Culture and Communication explores relationships we hold with our wild environments and how these have evolved through time. This interdisciplinary programme focuses on the emergent field of eco-criticism and the wider environmental humanities, and it aims to enable students to understand environmental issues from multiple perspectives. You will develop a knowledge of environmental debates from both cultural and scientific perspectives, and learn to communicate environmental issues using a variety of tools and strategies. The programme is suitable for students with or without a specialism in literary or environmental studies. The School of Social and Environmental Sustainability is one of the UK's foremost pockets of expertise in interdisciplinary environmental teaching and research. So making use of our excellent location, the programme connects with the wider environment through field trips to various locations, including the Galloway and Southern Ayrshire Biosphere Reserve, the Galloway Forest Dark Sky Park, Loch Lomond in the Trossachs National Park, and even the Lake District National Park. And Dumfries and Galloway is also home to some world-class attractions such as the Croc Multiverse, which was designed by the internationally renowned land artist Charles Jenks. Now, some of the example careers for this particular programme include environmental journalism, environmental communications and advertising, environmental activism, and that could be through non-governmental organisations or other types of organisations. We've also had students going into the creative industries as artists, and of course students going on developing their academic career by going through PhD study. And that brings me to the end, really, of my summation of these three PGT programmes, and I can pass you back now.
Thanks so much, Stephen. I really appreciate that. And what a great overview of our three postgraduate programs in the environment subject area. So what we're going to do now is hear directly from one of our students, because there's nobody better to tell us about their experience than a student who is studying at the campus right now. So I'm delighted to welcome Sofia, who is a student on the Sustainable Tourism and Global Challenges Master's Programme, which is not in the environment sphere. But as we've already talked about, our students cut across the different subject areas within our school, and certainly Sofia will be able to give us her opinion and her experience of coming to the Dumfries campus. So I'm going to ask Sofia, first of all, just to introduce herself. Sofia, thanks so much for coming along. If you could introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your experience here in Dumfries, and then we'll get on to some questions.
Of course. Hi, everyone. Well, I'm Sofia. I'm actually from Mexico. Okay, so I come from a long way to Dumfries. My experience in Dumfries has been absolutely, I would like to say, like, amazing. Regarding the town, you definitely feel the community sense that the people having here. And regarding the university, my program is absolutely everything that I was aiming for, regarding content and like the topics and like the courses that we got.
Before we move on to some questions and answers, you'll know some students who are in the environment subject areas. Have you taken any courses that have been within that environment sphere?
Actually, yeah. Well, for example, one of the courses, it's a climate change in tourism, which actually Dr. Steven is the one that teaches that course. And there's a really different mixture of communication. We also have another tourism program in there as well. So yeah, definitely it's like a big mixture of different programs that are more in the environmental topic that integrate with us.
Thanks so much, Sofia. So, I mean, you hear it directly from Sofia, who's one of our students, right here on campus, and has just arrived, a matter of months ago, and has already had such a good experience, which we're delighted to hear about. So thank you for sharing that with us. What we're going to do now is take a look at some questions that we've had ahead of time that we've already got sent in to us. So we're going to put some of them up on the screen so that we can get some questions both for Stephen and for Sofia. So the first question should be coming up, which is, what has been your favorite course on the program so far? So Sofia, this is a question for you, and you can tell us a little bit about, I know you just told us about one of the courses, but tell us a little bit about your favorite one so far.
Okay, so it will be really hard for me to choose one, but one that really, feel all of my expectations definitely was circular tourism, because for sustainable tourism, it's really important to actually also know that part of how the economy actually works and what are the changes, or like what are the little things that we can make for it to make it more sustainable. And I was really focused on that one because this was actually my first time having this type of topic in my academic background, and I come from a really tourism background, so circular tourism was definitely one of the highest that I liked.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really useful to hear the different subject areas that we've got across the school, because I think that's the people that you're going to meet as a student here, is you're going to meet people in all of these different areas. And I think that makes that kind of course really, really interesting as well, where you've got circular tourism, but you've got students in there that are potentially from environment courses as well. It's really, really interesting. So thanks. Okay, next question. why did you choose to study at the University of Glasgow? So again, Sofia, I'm going to ask you that one directly.
Okay, so I chose University of Glasgow first because of the ranking that the university has. The ranking not only state the obvious of being a really good university, but also it fit until all the criteria. Some of my governmental scholarships require me to have. So University of Glasgow actually fit perfectly for me to be able to get more scholar funds, also scholarships from my government as well. So definitely that was, I would like to say, 90% of the reason that I actually choose University of Glasgow. And the other percent is that there are, well, like in my search, I didn't found that many universities that focus tourism with sustainability, which was my main target for my master's.
That's great. And again, that's really useful to understand that sustainability thread that is coming through our school was so important to you. And you'll find all of our students, regardless of the subject area, are focused on that sustainability element in some way, shape or form. So thanks, that's really useful to hear. So next question. I'm going to put this to both of you because you may both be able to talk a little bit about assessment methods. But Steven, I'll start with you just to get your take on what sort of assessment methods are used on the programs that we've covered. And then Sofia, I'll ask you a little bit about what you've experienced while you've been here. But I'll start with you, Steven.
Okay, so the first thing to note is we don't have many exams, if any at all. And that can be a relief to many people to hear that. So we have a lot of coursework, and that coursework is highly diverse and varied. So we do a lot of report writing, and the reason we do report writing is because it's a key skill, and it's one which employers are looking for once you finish your studies. So we do have report writing, but we also have on some programs such as the environmental, such as environment, culture and communication, there are more essay-based questions in there as well, which allows you to structure an answer in a very different way. We have assessment methods that focus on presentation and skill, and these can be speed talks and they can be group work. And we also have presentations that are based on practical exercises that we do on, for example, the Ecology course, MSc. So we have a real variety and diversity, and it's not one single type of assessment that we'll use throughout the whole program. And that's really important because people have different skills, and we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to shine as best as they can. So there's not one single type of assessment. It's a wide variety of different types. And I know, Sofia, you can talk about some of the unique ones that we do for sustainable tourism and climate change, which is a very different type of assessment, but it's embedded in reality, and it's embedded in the need to try and transition to a more sustainable society. So I'll let Sofia speak.
Okay. Well, regarding the assessment, definitely, as Dr. Steven said, each course bring up a really unique point of view regarding the assessments, but they are definitely really down to earth. Meaning, the assessments that we have on the course are things or tools that are going to help us a lot with further work experience, definitely. And me as a student, I can definitely feel the more that I make my assessments, the more that I feel improving myself regarding those core skills of reading, of presentation, definitely on research. So they were all of my assessments have been challenging, but they have definitely pushed me, to improve a little more every time.
That's great. Thank you. And I'm really glad to hear you say there that you feel like they're focused on getting you towards your career and your job, because that's so important. And Steven mentioned earlier about some of the career pathways out of our programs, but I'm just going to take this opportunity to mention that we actually have a lot of information on what jobs that you can get and what academic areas you could go into with each of our individual programs. And you can find all of that on our web pages linked to each of the individual program areas. And that'll give you a real flavor for the kinds of jobs that you can go into following on from these master's programs. Okay, so next question. Are there experiential learning opportunities such as field trips offered within the environmental program? So we already covered a little bit of this in the presentation, and we've talked a lot about our surrounding area. But Steven, I'll let you talk just a little bit more about the experiences people can have on these programs.
Yeah, well, the short answer to that question is yes. And of course, yeah, there's an awful lot of experiential learning. We place a high value on learning by doing. And so that can be, for example, in the, if I think of the environmental risk management program, there's a lot of modeling development, which is really important for work-based situations. It's something that we need to be aware of and develop some skills when we go into the workplace for environmental risk management of how things connect together and how those impacts, how an impact in one place has an impact on another place. And so there's a lot of modeling that goes into that. So there's an awful lot of time that's spent on the computers, guided help, of course, with your lecturer, developing those modeling skills. Again, with a view to this is a skill that you will take forward to the workplace. That's experiential learning. But we also have the experiential learning that we have in the field, where we are taking students out to explore the wonderful surroundings around the Dumfries Campus. So the ecology and environmental monitoring program, you're out almost every single week with that. Regardless of the weather, you're out and you'll be doing some monitoring for various different species or identifying different species and thinking about how you might manage those different landscapes in practice. And we'll be engaging with stakeholders in the local area, so people who run nature reserves or the bodies that have responsibility for nature conservation in Scotland, and engaging with the real experts who are doing this on a daily basis. So you're learning skills that are absolutely essential for the workplace.
Thanks, Steven. Sofia, have you been out on any field trips at all, even as part of your program?
Yes, I have actually more than once. I have been lucky enough, definitely. And one of like the major points that I would like to stand out is that the engagement that we got with the stakeholders on those field trips, it's really like amazing, because it gives us students like a first-hand experience of real-time a work experience that the people have.
That's really useful. Thank you, because I think that kind of plays to everything that we're talking about here around getting you ready for whatever it is you want to do after your studies, is dealing with the people who are doing this day to day and working in these jobs and sectors. So I think regardless of what subject you're coming to study with us, that is thread throughout everything that we do here at the school. So thank you so much. Okay, next question. How do you see the job market evolving for graduates in sustainability and environmental fields? Steven, I think this is a really topical question. We always talk about sustainable development goals, and everybody has agendas. All the governments around the world have agendas in this space. But where do you see the job market going?
Well, it's one of expansion, Craig. It's one where we are seeing significant growth at a global level, but we're also seeing it at national, local levels as well. To give you an example, most recently, of all the jobs that were offered across Dumfries and Galloway, round about 35 or 38% of them were environment focused. At a global level, we're starting to see every organisation needing to take account of their environmental impacts. And so we're seeing sustainability officers and related posts across a whole range of industries which never had these posts before. And that could include, for example, steel manufacturers to the financial services, and procurement services, a whole range of different opportunities out there for people with knowledge of sustainability. And of course, tourism being a classic example as well, the need for tourism to be sustainable. There is now a real growth and a real opportunity for employment in those particular sectors. Of course, we have our traditional sectors for the environment as well, which are growing as well. So these would be environmental protection agencies, nature conservation agencies, all the way from the local level up, all the way up to the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and the United Nations as well. So the opportunities are vast, they're varied, and they're growing.
I think that's really, really interesting, because especially that stat you told me there about the number of jobs coming up. Because if you think of this region that we sit within, and this is why we do what we do here in this campus in Dumfries, is that we're surrounded by this region that is growing and looking at these different areas. So it's the perfect place to be studying this kind of thing. And actually, if you want to stay on and work somewhere like this, the jobs are coming up. So there are opportunities for you to engage in those sectors and engage with those employers while you're here at the university before you even graduate. So I think that's a really positive picture to be painting at the moment. So thank you very much. And Sofia, you already mentioned that the sustainability aspect of your tourism program was a factor in you choosing that program. So is there anything you want to add around sustainability as a kind of future career path for you within the tourism sector?
Well, definitely from my point of view, I can definitely notice a growth, generally speaking, regarding the opportunities. I have seen a lot of new, openings or job positions that when I was around like 10 years old, I have never seen, or even mentioned. So it's quite exciting.
I think it is. I think it's exactly that. It's very exciting, because I think the opportunities for our graduates and for you to come out of these programs and make an impact. And I think that's the big thing, is how do we make an impact in these areas and really drive those agendas forward. So thanks so much for your experience in that as well. Okay, next question. What are your plans for after graduation? So this follows on a little bit, I suppose, from the job discussion. And it's a little bit scary because we're only, at this point of your journey as a student. But have you thought about what you want to do after graduation?
Yeah, well, I definitely want to be or keep being involved in the sustainability environment. Hopefully to land a really good job. But mainly that is focused in sustainability, because I want to believe, as you already mentioned, that the thing that I'm working on is making an impact in a good way. That's my main goal after graduating, to keep or trying to keep making an impact.
I love that. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really useful. Steven, I don't know, have you got any insights into anyone else that's looking to graduate and go in any exciting areas that people are looking to go into?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities from past graduates who have went into areas that we haven't traditionally thought of as straight environment routes. For example, we've had people go into the construction industry, but as environmental experts who are advising on various different aspects to do with environment. So sometimes your degree takes you in a sort of sideways step. It might not be related to the building industry or the construction industry, but it shows you the ability of your degree to take you in a different direction, should you wish to do that. We've also had students going into the energy sector as well. It's a growing sector. It's a sector where we do need more renewable energy sources. We need to cut our use of greenhouse gas emissions, and we need to think about sustainable energy for the future. And some of our students have went into that area and been able to utilise their degree to good effect. and also have some authority and expertise on advising in an energy circumstance. So it might not be the exact industry that you think people are going to flourish in. They might take that sideways step, but it also shows you the diversity and the ability of your degree to take you in different directions, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I always think that's the exciting thing about meeting alumni who have left us a few years ago and finding out what career pathways they've taken. So no, I totally agree with you. It's great to see people going in a slightly different direction to what you might first expect and what they first expected when they joined the program. So I think that's really interesting. Okay, we've got time for just one more question, so we'll put that up on the screen now. What advice would you give to someone thinking about applying to one of these programs? I'm going to ask Steven to take this one, just because it's about the environment subject area. So Steven, this is our kind of final question to allow you to tell people why they should think about applying for one of these programs.
Well, first of all, you're going to be part of a community of like-minded people. So you're going to be in a smallish community, and you're going to be in a community of people who all have that key interest in the environment and sustainability to varying different degrees. But you're in a fantastic location. Where we are, our campus is absolutely, we are so blessed here to have all the different resources we have round about us. We have the coast just 15 minutes away. We've got the mountains and uplands round about half an hour to 45 minutes away. We've got river and loch systems. We've also got a town, of course, the town of Dumfries, but we've got lots of agricultural land. We've got lots of places that we can utilise to hone your skills and to give you insights into how to manage the environment sustainably. It's just a wonderful place to study and live, and it's a very small scale classes typically, and so you get to know your lecturer really well. They get to know you, and of course all your team, all your colleagues as well. So it's a really nice environment, and something that can make a big difference, not just while you're studying, but long after that, as you forge friendships for life.
Thank you so much. Sofia, I'm going to give you the last word here, just to give any advice you think you might have wanted when you were starting here or when you were doing your research coming here. What would you tell someone who's in your position, who's in that position now?
Okay, well, I think I will only give one advice, and that thing will be to definitely reach out to, whether it's a previous student, or even like the coordinator of the program, because when you're first looking and like thinking into applying, you're a little bit nervous and you don't know like to who to talk to. But definitely the university side has really clear, reach out sections. Those are going to be super helpful. They're going to, help you firsthand with like all the questions, and like there's no dumb question at all.
You're absolutely right. And I think that's a great point for us to finish on. If anybody has any questions about any of these programs, or about what it's like to study here in the Dumfries campus or with the University of Glasgow as a whole, please reach out to us. You can get in contact with us here in Dumfries with an email address, which is dumfries-comms@glasgow.ac.uk. And you can find all the information that we talked about today on our website, where you'll also find a whole host of videos and a whole lot of student stories to tell you exactly what it's like and complement what Sofia has told you today about her experience here. But all it leaves for me to say is thank you to both Sofia and Steven for coming on today. And we hope you enjoy the rest of the Postgraduate Open Day. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much, everyone.